Leapmotor, one of the world's fastest growing car companies this year, I believe second only to XPeng. They've just revealed their new electric hatchback. And I think this is one of the best looking hatchbacks I've ever seen. It's also electric and it's absolutely a winner. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. The B05 is Leapmotor's new hatchback. It's coming to Europe. Leapmotor actually already sells 6 different electric cars in Europe. So they've got quite the lineup. A fresh entry into the compact EV race was revealed at the Auto Show in Munich, where Stellantis-backed Leapmotor introduced the B05. Known as the Lafa 5 in China, this new car is a fully electric hatchback, similar size to the MG4, also similar to a Volkswagen ID3. I think it looks better than an ID3 though. Apparently it'll launch later this year in Europe and be offered in an ultra trim with a sporty body kit. Sort of like and intended to be an electric hatch, a hot hatch, you could say. The B05 serves as a low-slung alternative to the B10 crossover. In Europe, a lot of people still buy hatchbacks. They're not as popular as they used to be, but they're still very popular. So that's why Leapmotor, which also actually builds cars in Europe now to avoid tariffs on EVs from China, is selling this hatchback in Europe. So I think it's great that they can avoid these tariffs because that'll make this car not affordable, but relatively affordable in comparison to a lot of other vehicles on the market. I mean, in terms of price, in China, you can get one of these for 14,000 US dollars. So very affordable in China. In Europe, the prices will be slightly higher, but anyway, in China, the price is very, very affordable. The car you can see here, this is of course a yellow version of this hatchback. It has 19-inch alloy wheels, and the Chinese spec version will be apparently identical to the Chinese spec Lafa 5, which is the same car. The only difference though is that the version in China has a LiDAR sensor on the roof to try and improve autonomous driving capabilities. But I should point out that's not on all models. It's the higher grade models that get the LiDAR sensor. Leapmotor has also shared photos of the Ultra trim that will be unveiled, I believe, later this year, ahead of its launch in the first quarter of 2026. And I think it really is a good looking car. Kudos to whoever designed this car. They did a great job. How big is it? 4,430 millimeters long, very similar to the new MG4, 174.4 inches, that is. 1,880 millimeters wide, that's 74 inches wide. 1,520 millimeters tall, that's 59.8 inches tall. Wheelbase, 2,735 millimeters, so a good length wheelbase, 107.7 inches. We don't have the full specifications, but we believe it's the same as the Chinese version from what we've heard. So what's the Chinese version? Well, it comes with a single electric motor producing 215 horsepower, that's 160 kilowatt, and 240 newton meters, that's 177 pound-feet. And there's also 2 different battery packs. There's a 56 kilowatt hour battery for the base model and a 67 kilowatt hour battery for the longer range model. Range WLTP is, I believe, 434 kilometers. So 434 kilometers, which is 270 miles. And like I said before, lithium iron phosphate battery. So not a huge amount of range, but I think considering the price, it's a pretty competitive car. Apparently, the chassis setup was tuned specifically for Europeans. Very good idea. Very good. Chinese cars are too softly sprung for markets outside of China, I think. US might be okay with them, I think, but Europe and Australia, the suspension tune, a lot of Chinese EVs is just too soft. So good decision by Leapmotor to do this, to change it for Europe. Apparently the engineering team made sure it has a 50-50 weight distribution and multi-link rear suspension. If you look at the interior, it uses a 14.6-inch infotainment display powered by the Snapdragon 8155 chip and running on Leapmotor's new OS 4.0 operating system. Stellantis pricing. I believe it's going to be a little bit cheaper than the current B10 crossover, which is the crossover version of this car. The price therefore will be around $33,000 US, or probably about 28,000 euros. So not super cheap, but still relatively affordable. And that makes it cheaper than a Volkswagen ID3. The ID3 starts at $39,000 US in Germany. That's 33,000 euros in Germany. Currently in China, you can buy these versions of Leapmotor EVs. There's the T03, the B10, the B01, the C01, the C10, the C11, and the C16. Some of these are e-revs, half of them are e-revs, half of them are fully electric. And Leapmotor, they are doing very well. They delivered 57,000 vehicles in August, which was their fourth consecutive month of record high deliveries. And it means that their sales increased by 88% in August of this year versus August of last year. For many years now, I've said Leapmotor makes very good cars and very good value for money cars. There's still some software issues. I think in the Australian versions of their cars, there's been a bit of an issue, and also in Europe. That's something they're definitely working on to improve. But I think this is going to be a successful car, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping that it comes to other countries like Australia as well. Thanks for watching. Guys, I finally test drove the Leapmotor C10. It's one of the, well, what appears to be one of the best value electric cars in many places, including in Europe, where it's actually selling pretty well, in China, and here in Australia. I compared it to my Xpeng G6 because, well, the Xpeng G6 standard range is actually a similar price to the Leapmotor C10. Now, in some ways, they're quite different. The Leapmotor C10 is a much boxier, more traditionally shaped SUV than the Xpeng, which is more shaped like a Tesla Model Y. But they actually have similar interior space. So let's get right into it on my thoughts. I'll give you a score at the end of the video. Some of you might be a bit shocked by my score. Some of you might think, well, that's fair. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. This morning, I just finished test driving the Leapmotor C10. My son was doing his audition